of the Lord. Nothing in this universe can be explained.
Faith isn't based on logic and experience.
I was raised and I believe that the Bible is fact, so if something's gonna collide with it, then it's obviously incorrect and false.
Rational arguments don't usually work on religious people. Otherwise, there would be no religious people.
Animals, man, the dinosaurs were all vegetarian.
If somewhere within the Bible, I were to find a passage that said 2 plus 2 equals 5, I wouldn't question what I'm reading in the Bible. I would believe it, accept it as true.
Hello, welcome to RealityThumper.com. My name is Forrest, and I'm going to go on a little rant today. But a lot of people are emailing me and they're saying, why can't you just let people believe? What's wrong with belief? Well, there's a lot of things wrong with belief, but I can't believe you're asking me that question. Have you turned on the news lately? Have you read a newspaper? Have you seen what's gone on in the Middle East since the beginning of time, practically? How many religions have been created? How many myths? How many stories? But even with that being said, let's ask the question again, what could possibly go wrong? Well, people come out of the woods with stories, whether it's a box in their hand, filled with rocks perhaps. Maybe they come out of the desert with other stories and mythologies. They tell their friends, and soon you have a cult. After time goes by, you might have 50, maybe 100 or 500 people even believing in this guy or gal. And then it spreads. Pretty soon it's 1,000, and then a little thing starts to happen. That cult becomes grandfathered. And when it becomes grandfathered, it becomes religion. Once time passes by, that religion is real. And pretty soon, it becomes a small minority of people, and then eventually, it might even become a majority of people. And when it does, they have their beliefs and they move forward, and pretty soon there's different alternative beliefs. Some of the people that originally heard the stories might think, that's not my interpretation. Oh, they're not really following the real laws that were initially put forward. I'm going to give my interpretation. I'm going to create my own church, and we're going to move forward. It might be a little more aggressive than the last person. Fast forward 50 years, and it might get even more aggressive. And pretty soon, people are dying in the name of these gods. Countries are raging wars on each other. Territories are disputed because of religion. And before you know it, it's East versus West. Sound familiar? People start flying planes into buildings, blowing up airports, blowing up abortion clinics, fighting with each other over territories and whose book is correct or more correct. That is what's wrong with believing. Soon, their ideas are bleeding into our laws. Sharia law takes place. People's rights start to be discriminated against. And just speaking out against religions just seems wrong, doesn't it? I mean, think about it. Look what religion has done. You kind of feel uncomfortable with me talking about this, don't you? Just the idea condemning religion is wrong. But going back to restrictions on people, pretty soon women aren't equal. Pretty soon they've got to cover their whole bodies up. They've got to cover their faces. They've got to cover their legs. Genital mutilation takes place. People start piercing their entire bodies, eating certain foods, because that's what God would want. Or performing sacrifices, both human and animal. They throw people out into the cold. Cities are divided. Soon, somebody approaches my kid. Perhaps my kids weren't indoctrinated like your kids were. They weren't brainwashed from the time they were babies, and they never had the opportunity to think for themselves. They were just put into your religion, just like the kids in the Middle East were put into their religion. Isn't that strange? Everybody seems to be divided up regionally with their gods. I find it odd that in this location, this God seems to be more true. But in that location, that God seems to be more true. And again, in another location, many gods seem to be true. Very strange. But I digress. Going back to my child, and pretty soon, you start pulling my kid into church. You start brainwashing my child, my relatives, and they start turning against me and trying to put me on the outside. My relatives start shoveling their hard money into a basket. Now, this religion has pull. It's waging wars, and it's inviting my kids to fight it for them. No thanks. That right there is what's wrong with religion. That right there is what's wrong with belief. I know. Your religion is different. Your religion is the right religion. You just happen to be born into the right religion. It makes perfect sense. And everyone else around the entire globe was born in the wrong location. They will never hear of your God. They will never hear of your religion. They will never know what it's like to pray. They will never know what it's like to believe in strange ideas. And they will live normal, productive, meaningful, and happy lives, just like me. Now get back out there and start recruiting. God needs you. And more importantly, God needs your money. God needs your money now. God needs your money quickly. Get out there and convert. I'm Forrest Munden, RealityThumper.com.